Philip from This Painted Sky. I am going live to to kind of show my process for changing guitar strings, and this is my Fender American Deluxe that I've had since about 2017, and this is not the only American Strat I own. It is the only American Deluxe that I own, and one of the things I really like about this particular Strat is it has the noiseless pickups. It has a special switch here on the an extra switch here on the volume knob, and it also has a place to adjust the truss rod. Here, you cannot see it or not, and that's convenient as well. But probably one of my favorite features about this specific guitar is the locking tuners on the back. And once I started using a guitar that had locking tuners, honestly, I wish all of them did. So I went through. I went ahead and took off the first couple of guitar strings. I'm about to take off the next string. I'll kind of show you the process and how easy it is to put strings on when you're dealing with these locking tuners. So typically what I do, I go ahead and loosen the tuners at the back so the string will pop out, and then typically I'll go ahead and turn the peg and line up the holes so that I can just put the string there, and then just simply slip the string out through the back. And because I cut these when I put them in, there's really, they come out pretty easily. And again, just makes changing strings super easy. I know a lot of different people have a lot of different methods for changing strings, and I'm not gonna say one way is right, one way is wrong. Probably what I'm doing is wrong when you compare it to the professionals. But this is how I like to change the strings. And typically what I'll do, I'll just take the string I take off and just kind of wind it up, similar to how it's going to look before I take it out of the package. Makes keeping up with it a little easier, and makes also clean up a little easier, because the last thing you want to do is lose a bunch of these strings on the ground and step on one. It's not a good experience. So I'm down to the A string, and one more to loosen up and take off. And again, such an easy process to change the strings on this particular guitar. It is my favorite electric. Well, I don't know, they're all pretty special in different ways. I've got some that, of course, you know, I never want to get rid of any of them, but I'm gonna grab a cloth real quickly. I typically like to wipe down the strings, and I have one, just a tattered washcloth just a tattered washcloth that I use just for changing strings, because sometimes you'll find it'll get a little, sometimes dust will accumulate, and when the string's off, this is the best time you can kind of get the places you can't quite get when the strings are there. And sometimes I forget to wipe it down, and that's not a massive issue if you forget, but I just typically like to kind of go up and down the neck like this while I'm prepping. And again, this area up here makes it easy to kind of clean, and you know, if you're into polishing your instruments and stuff like that, you could do that at this time. I typically don't. Not that I'm against it, I just typically don't have that stuff on hand. Sometimes I do, most of the time I don't. So let's talk about strings. Now, people have different opinions on what they prefer based on the style they play. For me, I'm a fan of the Ernie Ball Super Slinky pink package. Starts with 9s on the bottom, 42s on the top. It's a great string if you like playing classic rock, blues, things like that. And I say that because it makes bending the strings easier, a little easier than the 10s, which a lot of people play as well. Now, there's a trade-off when you get the lighter gauge strings. The sound, especially when it comes to the bass, isn't necessarily as loud or as full because, of course, the gauge is smaller. But, you know, depending on what you prefer, sound, playability, you can make the decision on which you would rather have. So I've already wiped it down. I'm going to take the first string here. And sometimes people, when they're, especially on a Strat, of course they have these backs. Sometimes people prefer to take these backs off when changing strings. I've done that before. Honestly, I just think it's a pain. I know some people just leave it off and don't put it back on, and it certainly is up to you. But there's a place here you can just kind of slip it through in the back. Especially with these lighter strings, make sure you grab hold of it before letting go, because it can certainly go through the other end. So here's the cool thing about these locking tuners, and these are what came on this particular model. Basically, you just simply thread the string, pull it tight, and then notice I'm tightening the knob here. Now, you're still gonna have to go back and tune it, and if you can hear, you probably can't, it's still very loose, okay? So you're still gonna have to go through and tighten and tune some, but it makes the process so much easier. And then again, just going to repeat the process through the next 5 strings as well. And again, this is my primary guitar that I play when playing electric, and it is certainly one of my favorites because of some of the features I mentioned earlier. But I do have others that I'm quite a big fan of. Like, again, I mentioned that, and you also want to make sure you're putting the string in the right place, which I did not do that time. Like I said, I have another American Fender Strat that, quite honestly, I don't play very much, and I don't think I've ever played on this channel. I typically use this one if I play electric, but it's a Sunburst. It's a 1998 American Standard, and I have had that guitar since I was 18 years old. Paid $500 for it, and Um, I said, I said this one's my favorite. As far as playing, yes, I would say that's still true. For electric, that is. It's still true. But that being said, um, I could never, never ever get rid of that guitar, just simply because I've had it for so long. And you know, it's a great playing guitar. It does need a little work done. You know what? I take it back. I did make a short about a year or so ago of me polishing the fret. So if you wanted to see that guitar, you could go back and take a look at that short. If you've never checked out my channel before, one thing I highly recommend doing is going through and taking a look at some of the videos. No, I don't have a whole lot of videos that are out there. I record way more than I post. To be honest, it's mostly my fault, because if I hear one tiny mistake, if there's one little thing there that I absolutely hate, I am not going to post it. And the problem is, there's almost always plenty of mistakes that I make with the videos that I try to record. But if you are new here and you're wanting to know kind of what this Painted Sky is all about, and I do hope that you listen to some of my music. I post covers and some original songs, but most of what you're going to see on the channel is what I would refer to as singer-songwriter coffee shop acoustic, because that's a genre I fell in love with a very long time ago, and I play a lot of I spend a lot of time listening to the Coffee House on Sirius XM, and I've always been a major fan, always been fascinated of listening to stripped down versions of famous songs, and I fell in love with that genre a very long time ago. However, it is not the genre that I would say defines my playing style. And I say that simply because when I'm talking about my playing style, when I first started learning to play when I was a kid, I was really into classic rock, really into 60s and 70s music, all of which had long passed before I started listening to it. I was born, I'm a 90s kid, even though I was born in the late 89. I still consider, I'm definitely a 90s kid. I was in the 80s, but I was only there for about a month and a half, to be honest. But I loved classic rock. When I was younger, I was a big fan of bands like Leonard Skinner and the Eagles, and Zeppelin, and all of those. And so when you listen to me plug up, you're definitely going to hear that classic rock influence. And in fact, when I play electric, that's probably most all what you're going to hear, is that classic rock influence. And so that's my favorite. But also, my music is very much shaped by 2K pop. I mentioned I'm a child of the 90s, but I'm also a teen of the 2000s. So you're going to hear a lot of influence from songs from the 2000s, some pop rock, punk, things like that. I'm a big fan of. So you notice here, all the strings are on. I haven't tuned it yet, but that's basically it for the strings. And now, really, all there is to do it is to tighten and tune, and then snip them. And I've got this little peg winder device here, which probably won't have to use the peg winder because it I won't really have to tighten that much. Also, though, when I change strings on traditional guitars where that don't have locking tuners, I do have this Ernie Ball power peg. To be honest, this thing, it's a little much. It's not necessary, but it sure makes life a little bit easier. So I'll use that every now and then. But yeah, all there is left to do is snip the strings and tune it, and it really is that easy. Of course, me talking took up a large part of that. I could have done it a lot quicker, but I wanted to kind of share the process. Again, if you haven't checked out my channel, a good song to start with is Fall, which is the very first original song that I posted on my channel. And it was written I wrote it probably 10 years ago now. But go check out that song, check out some of my covers. I have been posting more electric uh, covers as well, solo covers, things like that, or just me playing around. Check those out as well. Check out some of those shorts. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video.